Welcome to the Instigators Hockey Show. He's Chris Kotopoulos. I'm Paulie D. Welcome to the program. And guess what? We got a new reveal. Look at this. What's up?
Awesome. Fits like a glove.
Brand.
Fits like a glove.
The Instigators brand is coming to you.
Awesome looking t-shirts. Thank you to
Yes.
my kid and thank you to your supplier, Paulie.
Yes, Island Printing has been amazing. And we're going to have plenty of things that you can purchase, especially shirts, t-shirts. Still working on the mug. It's insane.
Back to the Guinness.
Paulie D's mug, Instigators Hockey Show. Listen, everyone, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You need to really join the Facebook group. I really want to say Beth has done a tremendous job.
Yes, she has.
I tell you, it's just the brand is growing again. So I'm getting excited. We got plenty of conversation in the group. You got to join the group if you want to be part of the show. Really, ask us questions, stuff like that. Beth will load it up to us if we don't see it, and we'll answer your questions freely, openly, and honestly. If there's anything you know about this show, is that Chris and I, there's no hold bar. We talk about everything, good, bad, and the ugly, and especially the ugly, because that's what we do. We instigate. And that's what we do here. We are not the candy-coated show. We're all about exposing, talking, and loving hockey.
Yeah, we're not going to – I'm dead. You know me, Paulie, long enough now. I'm not going to like something just because somebody tells me so. I'm going to have my own thoughts on it. If they don't like it, then tough shit. You know?
Right.
That's the way it goes.
Right. Chris is out in Pennsylvania. I'm here in Tampa, Florida, and we're still bringing you some good hockey stuff. Like I said, join the groups, the programs, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out Rink of Dreams. Barry Shelley has been amazing. Barry, I actually will be shipping your shirt tomorrow, so you'll probably get it by Tuesday or Wednesday next week. With that being said, we got a lot to do, man. If you don't know, I'm Paulie D. He's Chris Kotopoulos, former NHL defenseman, played with a couple of the original 6 teams, and actually 3, right?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that third one too much.
The Leafs, the Rangers, and the Detroit Red Wings.
Who?
The Winged Wheel. With that, listen. Let's have some fun. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the playoff push. Very interesting what's happening in the East. We'll go out West. We'll look at some of that stuff. First and foremost, though, I'd like to start the show with Guy Lafleur. What can you say about Guy Lafleur, the longtime Montreal Canadian, also played a brief stint with the New York Rangers, but just a lot to see there. And everything that I've read and heard, the guy was meticulous, and he was a great person to be around, and obviously loved the game of hockey and brought, a lot of excitement to a lot of different people.
Yeah, he's probably one of Quebec's most famous people, not just a hockey player, period. I mean, he grew up there, obviously, and played, I think, for the Ramparts or the Quebec Ramparts. I'm not positive on that. And Montreal drafted him first overall, and, the legend was born. And, he broke my heart a little bit there. Before I made the NHL, I've always told you this, Paul, I was a Boston Bruin fan growing up in Toronto. I wasn't a Leaf fan. I was a Bruin fan. This is before Bobby Orr started, people. I was a Bruin fan, but in 78, 79, I believe, that's when Don Cherry and his team couldn't count fingers there, how many players they had on the ice in the 7th game in Montreal. And they had 8 guys on the ice, and gave Montreal a power play, and Guy Lafleur come down the right wing boards there and blasted a puck past Gilbert, the goaltender, to tie the game up late. I believe Yvon Lambert came to win the game in overtime, and it broke my heart. I was a big Bruin fan. It was Guy Lafleur that turned that whole thing around. They went on to win another Stanley Cup. But a few years later, there I am playing against the guy. He is going to be in my top 3 of all time when it comes to guys one-on-one coming down on me as a defenseman. There's Mario Lemieux in my book. There's Rick Middleton, and there's Guy Lafleur. There's a fourth one, too, Gilbert Perreault, too. He's another one. But these guys scared the shit out of you when they had the puck and they were coming full speed through center ice. And Guy, with he had the helmet on for his first couple of years, Paul. Then he took it off, and things kind of got better for him. He had hair back then, too, so it was flowing as he was flying by, making you look stupid. But, as a contemporary playing against him, there wasn't anybody with such adulation as him. And it's been a tough year, hasn't it, Paulie, for hockey fans, and especially the group of players like myself that have played against these guys, like Cart Gillies passing away, Gene Potvin, Mike Bossy, and now Guy Lafleur. I mean, it's been a real shitty year. But Guy Lafleur, if not the number 1 Montreal Canadian of all time, he's right up there with Jean Beliveau and Rocket Richard.
Yeah. Just a hockey classic. The hockey world lost a big mark of what the NHL is, and the Montreal Canadiens, and just the tradition and what the league is. And like you said, it's been a tough year, man. Tough year.
It's been a horseshit year, for us that had a chance to play against. I played against all those guys we just mentioned. I'm sure there's guys older than me that played, when those guys were in their prime. But one thing we got to mention too, that Montreal Canadiens dynasty there in the '70s. I mean, they won. I think it was 5 in a row Stanley Cups. Boy, oh boy! If you're gonna pick, I picked that one year. I can't remember what year it was, where they lost only 8 games.
Yeah, well, they got 22 champions.
I don't know. All I know is to lose only 8 games in one season. I mean, I could tell you in my time in Toronto and Hartford, we lost 8 games in a month, no problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lose 8 games that season. That to me has got to be one of the greatest teams of all time.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that you or me?
That's mind dinging. That's mind dinging.
No worries. Look, guys. I still make notes for the games, for the shows. I still make notes. I still do homework. I still got all the devices here. Try to get you the best I can.
You're the expert in this. I mean, you're the one that went to school for this stuff. You're the one that you had a big setup in your old place there. You know what I mean? Like.
I did. I had a great setup.
I'm just sitting here in front of my desk here, big screen that I need to see these days because of the bad bulbs. I'm learning as we go, but I'll never get as good as you. And you know what? That's purposely.
Well, listen, I promise you, it's only going to get better. Right now, if I'm being truthful, and Katsi knows, got a lot going on. A lot has changed in my life recently, but we're getting really rammed up here. We're gonna have some state-of-the-art stuff. I'm gonna start incorporating videos. If we don't do it by the end of this year, I promise you.
And T-shirts, baby.
T-shirts. We're gonna have all kinds of cool stuff, and we're really gonna turn this thing out. So, with that being said, still do the homework. Still put the work in. Still love to do it. Still love to talk this game. Just want to say, God bless the Lafleur family, the Montreal Canadiens. Guy was just a big part of this game and who they are. And like Katsi said, probably, if not is one of the top players in the world to ever play the game. So a lot to be said there. We're going to move on to a little bit more of a positive situation now. Tatsi, so Gerard Gallant and Sutter are being considered for the Jack Adams. They're the top runners here for Coach of the Year. Really can't say much against this. I mean, I think you have one other point that I think is really important. And before we get there, I'll try to look it up and see. But good stuff, New York Rangers, Gerard Gallant, and then obviously Sutter over in Calgary.
Yeah, Gerard Gallant, let's face it, he's been a big reason why the Rangers have turned it around this year. There's no question about it. The players seem to listen to him and understand the way he wants them to play. And I mean, the record proves that his addition has helped the Rangers organization big time. We're talking about a team that didn't make the playoffs basically, and the last time they did it was in that abbreviated season where they basically got a gift to get in. So he's done a great job, and he should get quite a few votes, if not most of the votes. But I want to talk about Daryl Sutter a little bit. I mean, he's done a fine job in Calgary too. But I think they had more to work with in Calgary than the Rangers had, than Gerard Gallant had with the Rangers. It may sound a little biased because I'm more of a Ranger guy, but I keep forgetting the head coach in Florida. His name,
Andrew Brunette.
Okay, here's a guy. I know they had a team in place, obviously, because they were winning with Joel Quenneville. But with all the shit that came down on Florida with Joel having to resign and with all that stuff that happened in Chicago, how hard of a job was that for Brunette to keep the team afloat there and keep them, in the right direction and doing what they've done? That wasn't an easy job for him after all that came down. I mean, you're replacing, I'm not going to say it, but I think Joel Quenneville's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day as a coach, whether they like it or not. He's up there and wins. He's won a few Stanley Cups. So to replace Joel Quenneville and continue to lead that ship in Florida the way he's done it, he should get a few votes too. But I think the hardest job out of the three, I think, was Gerard Gallant. I mean, you're taking over a team that hadn't made the playoffs, hadn't done anything significant in the playoffs for more than a few years. So to get 100 and whatever points they got right now, Paulie's pretty outstanding work by Gerard Gallant, and you also got to give the team a lot of credit too, the players, for buying into it.
Well, I think the Rangers are, if not the youngest team, real close to one of the.
I don't think they are anymore, but I think they're right there. Yeah, they were for a while, but not anymore.
You take this group of guys, and really has made a difference here. And I tell you, along with Gallant, I got to tell you, I am very, very impressed with what Chris Drury has done. And we talked about bringing in Gaudreau, bringing in even the deadline guys. Look at Kopp. Kopp's got what? He's almost a point a game guy.
More point a game.
Yeah. Since picking him up, you look at the addition of Ryan Reeves, where you could say what you want to say, but the team got bigger, got stronger, got tougher, and it got more skilled. Verano, or just a lot of the deadline pickups and the way they went in, and again, Coach, we talk about it, and I know everyone has their pros and cons, but look at Keandre Miller. What a development this year. We watched. I remember going back and I looked on some of the posts that I had made in the group, and I was like, oh my God, why is this guy even starting to play? And here he is now, just a mainstay, and just impresses me every game that he plays. And you had said, all he needs is a little bit of an edge, and he's starting to get that edge. So his game has come so far. You look at Adam Fox, won the Norris last year, Still a very young player. I mean, he's 23 years old, for crying out loud. There's a lot to be said about these guys, and it takes a lot to coach these guys because, plain and simple, like you said, there's other players, younger players that that haven't gone through these big seasons, the 82 games, and now you're going into playoffs. You're going to see how they react. A lot of moving parts, and it's good stuff. And then
Yeah, you mentioned Chris Drury. We've talked about this. I know people probably disagree with me, but I think he's done a better job as a GM than he did as a player. I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, he was a decent player for the Rangers, no question about it. But he's done a fine job as a GM for the Rangers too. I mean, he sat, like I told you, he sat back and he's been the thing that I like about him the most is I'm repeating myself, but it has to be said over and over and over again. You don't see his name in the paper all the time. You don't see his name on the websites all the time. He's doing what he does, and he does it nice and quietly, subtle. Right. You know, he did a fine job in choosing Gerard Gallant, a player that I played against, who was a tough guy, had decent skill, had been through the ropes, of the NHL, playing a long time, and then coaching, a couple places where he did well coaching, and then, for some reason there was a little friction between management. But Gerard Gallant seems to be able to, and it's not an easy thing to do for a coach, is to be able to communicate with the veteran leadership on the team and still work with the young guys.
Yeah.
And when Chris Drury picks a guy like him, there's a good big meaning behind it too. Chris Drury could have went out and got this player, that player, this player, that player to add to the team that were a little higher standards. You know what I mean? High flash potential superstars.
Sure.
But you know what he did? He brought players in that fit in and not interrupted the Zibanejads, the Chris Kreiders, the Panarins. You know what I'm trying to say here? Like, because if you bring in, like we're going to get into this later, you bring in a guy like Jack Eichel into Vegas who had success without him, they bring this guy in and they don't make the playoffs this year because it disrupted the flow of the team.
Yeah.
By bringing in a highly touted player. And Chris Drury did not do that. He brought in solid hockey players.
Yeah.
That were not about me. And he's done that. And Gerard Gallant has done a great job using the young with the old.
Yeah. And that gives a great transition into Vegas being knocked out of the playoffs. Dallas in, Vegas out. And you said, had that trade worked for you, and you touched on something that's really important.
Well, go ahead.
And it's really so important to emphasize what you just spoke about and how impressive Drury's been, because you could bring in that marquee player and disrupt the team and create an issue where what we saw in Vegas. So I know you probably don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's important to really understand the gelling of the team, what's happening, the mixture. And again, bringing in Gallant was a great move. The off-season, transition of bringing in all the right guys and complementing the guys that we have, the guys that they have, and here we are. Like you said, you can have a team like Vegas where they go and find a marquee player. He's injured. There's other components. Me, and you're on the outside looking in.
Well, again, it's not that Jack Eichel is not a tremendous talent. He is a tremendous talent, but it didn't work out in Buffalo for whatever reason. There was obviously friction between him and management about the injury and how we're going to treat it. He's just lucky it wasn't 1980 because he'd have been screwed in Buffalo. Okay, because if you don't go by their the medical people back in the old days, you ain't going nowhere. Period. But today's game has changed, and the players get a little bit more leeway when it comes to their injuries. But I think it also just goes to show you that sometimes you get that big name, that big star, and he may be tremendous down the road for Vegas, but Vegas not making the playoffs this year is like one of the biggest disappointments outside of Winnipeg. There's two teams that were playoff bound heading into the season, and they're not going to make it this year. And I think making that Jack Eichel trade kind of hurt their season this year. Now, were they? We don't know. Were they willing to accept the fact that they were going to not make the playoffs? They traded Marc-Andre Fleury. You know what I mean? I mean, they got rid of a lot of good players on that team. So to make that deal, and I kind of liked Vegas, the idea of a team in Vegas, and kind of wallowing them a little bit, but they got what they deserved this year. They didn't make the playoffs, plain and simple.
Plain and simple. All right, moving along. I still got to find a trophy tracker. Here's a good article that I want to talk about. I think a lot of people want to hear, especially out in the East, the playoff scenarios, you look at the East. Every team that's in the playoffs has broken the 100-point mark. First of all, it's the first time it's ever been done. It is crazy. The East is a scary place to be right now. It's a very scary place, and there's a couple of different scenarios, and I'll run through them real quick. Obviously, the Panthers have clinched the President's Trophy. Let's see. Okay. Wait, we'll clinch if they defeat Ottawa, I'm sorry. And Nashville Predators defeat Colorado in any fashion, or if either one of them get a point, the Tampa Bay Lightning will clinch the third seed and either match up against the Leafs and/or the Boston Bruins. I didn't know that. I thought they were going to have to match up against Carolina or Toronto. Let's see. They already beat Columbus. So if they beat Columbus in both games and the Bruins lose both games, it's insane. It's insane. Bottom line is this is what I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see Tampa is going to play Toronto, and the New York Rangers are either going to play the Washington Capitals or
the Gwens
or the Penguins. Really depends. Now, Washington's losing tonight. Let me pull this up real quick because there's a lot of games going on right now. But the scenarios are they're out of control. So we got to see what happens here in the next couple of days. And I'm not really a scenario guy. I think the bracket's pretty set. But the Islanders right now are beating Washington 2-0. Boston's winning 2-0. Florida's set. They're winning 3-0. But I think that moves what Tampa might wind up doing. Carolina's winning. I would love to see a first-round matchup with Carolina and Tampa Bay. And I'll share my thoughts with that in a few minutes. But, Kotz, let's talk a little bit about the East and the teams. I mean, there's no laydowns there, obviously. A couple of teams getting real hot and a couple of teams getting cold. So I'll let you start.
Well, I think, we'll start with our Rangers there. Losing a few games in a row here is not a good way to end the season as far as I'm concerned, although they did have basically the JV team in last night. They rested there probably, three-quarters of their superstars last night when you really think about it. But I would have liked to see them come in with a little bit of a better flow going into the playoffs. And tomorrow night's game is going to be interesting too. Is Washington maybe wanting to play the Rangers? You know what I mean? I don't know. Would they rather play the Rangers? I don't know what the other scenario is. Like if they don't play the Rangers, who would they end up playing? Would it be Florida? Would it be Tampa? I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know the finals of that yet. Listen, right now, Carolina impressed me a lot over the last month. I as good as Florida's been, and as good as you like to say, as Tampa's hot right now, and all the teams with 100+ points. Carolina just really impressed the shit out of me. Their 2 games they played against the Rangers. They don't give you any space. They play good, solid hockey. They take the body. They're not overly physical when it comes to actually trying with an intent to punish you with the hits, but they take the body. They're aggressive on the penalty kill. They're a team that again, everybody wants to talk Tampa, Florida, all the high-end teams, with the big names and the big stars. Nobody wants to really talk about Carolina right now. And I think you and I talked about it off the air. They're going to be trouble for everybody, I think.
I'm definitely afraid of them.
But the East overall, I mean, it would not surprise me, and I'm going to say it right now. We're going to make our predictions if we do a show on Monday. I hope we do a show on Monday just before the playoffs start. But it would not surprise me if what we think is going to happen is reversed in all four rounds. 4 teams. Why wouldn't it? Why couldn't the Rangers lose to Washington or Pittsburgh beat so-and-so or Tampa losing to Toronto or Boston beating so-and-so? Why couldn't it? None of them are guaranteed, Paulie, that you want to bet your house on.
True.
Because in the old days, before this season, you would have had an idea that the number 1 seed would have kicked the shit out of the number 8 seed.
Right.
You would have known that. But not this year.
Yeah.
Not this year. Not the way it's all lined up and not the way these teams are.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't disagree with you. I mean, obviously the East is really strong. Each of these teams have racked up more than 100 points. I think when it's all said and
about
done.
the matchups, Paulie. Who gets matched up with who?
Yeah.
Certain teams play better against another team, and another team might be better, and another team might be worse. But if the matchups fall right, I'm just saying it's possible that everybody who thinks the favorite in that series could lose.
Yeah.
That's all tight.
I will add my 2 cents here. I think that talking about Carolina, to me, they're the team to beat. I think overall, I think that they can give anybody, including Colorado, a run for their money. And you made a great point, and you put it in your Facebook post on the page, which you couldn't agree more. And you talked about Rod Brind'Amour and what a tough player he was to play because he was relentless. He never stopped. He was a smaller player. He wasn't a big guy. Probably one of the ugliest men in hockey. No, I'm only kidding. Just tough as nails, never stopped, always kept coming. The guy was relentless, and he was known for that. And that team scares the shit out of me because of the same thing. They don't have a lot of big-name players, but they play cohesively, for one. Like you had pointed out, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but, they play as units. They play as 5-man units. They don't kill you, but everyone takes the body. Everybody meets the puck carrier. Everyone plays very cohesively and relentlessly, as the point of Rod Brind'Amour, and that really makes for great playoff hockey because, again, I hate to do this, but you brought it up, and it stuck with me, is that the difference is, and you put it in your post, and people need to understand this, is that Carolina is not going to play a Rangers brand of hockey. The Rangers have to play a bit of Carolina's brand of hockey if they want to win.
Exactly.
That's huge. That's huge.
They have to.
There's not many teams that could do that.
Carolina plays the style of game that you don't want to play against because what they do is they're so aggressive. They attack you. They make you make decisions before you're ready to make decisions with the puck. Mm-hmm. You think you got time, but you have no time. They stand up on the blue line when it comes to penalty killing. That's the one thing I never understood. Like I used to kill a lot of penalties in my day. I was always one of the first team penalty killer. I always stood up on the blue line with penalty kill. I wanted to attack them before they got to our blue line.
Sure.
And I don't understand the NHL thing, why you let them cross with this, the drop back passes like it's soccer and all that shit again, where you rewind the guy and all that. I'd still meet you at center ice. I could give two shits who's got the puck. Right. You know what I mean? And Carolina does that. They line up with their 4 guys across there. That's why they made the Ranger power play look like
dog tooth
kindergarten the other night. They did like kindergarten. They made it look bad because they're not letting Fox set up. They're not letting Panarin set up. They're not letting any of the top guys set up at the puck. And when they do get that little opportunity to set up inside the Carolina zone, guess what happens? They attack them right away. In other words, they hurry the opposition into making mistakes, and they wear your ass down.
Yep.
You stay in the game with them for a while, but then eventually you make a mistake or two.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's how successful they are. The only problem with Carolina right now is the goaltender. It's still hurt.
Yeah.
The guy's still hurt. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I think anybody who's going to be successful against Carolina, they're going to have to beat Carolina early. You're going to have to score the first goal, possibly the first 2.
You got to hit them. You got to take the body on them. You can't let them initiate the play. You got to.
Yeah, you got to get them to play your game and not play their game. And I'm sure we'll come back to this in a little bit, but the other team, and Chris and I, we discussed this a lot. The other team that I'm definitely afraid of, and it always seems to happen, Tampa Bay Lightning have gotten hot late. They are white hot lately, beating really good teams, Toronto, Nashville, Florida. They come into, I think last week when we did this show, they were at like 96 points. They're running over 100 points.
Hulk says no.
They're at 106 points. They were tied with the New York Rangers last night with, I believe, 106 points or 108 points, were they? But my point is they're getting hot at the right time. Obviously, we know the goaltending there is very strong. Steven Stamkos, I think, has 36 goals, got hot, breaking records all over the place. Kucherov is no joke. Hedman's serious. What a serious defenseman he is. There's a lot. Braden Point. There's a lot of big components there, and they're all gelling and getting hot at the right time.
Okay. I'm sticking by what I'm saying.
I know. They're a team that's
I'm not going to downplay their talent at all. I just think somebody will beat them this year in the East. I think they got a gift the last 2 years of not playing full seasons and not playing top tier echelon teams like you have this year.
Right, I agree with that.
They have to go through a gauntlet of good hockey clubs this year. And you know what? I hope they play the Leafs in the first round. I do.
Yeah.
I hope they do. You know,
they have your number.
That'll be the furthest they got to travel in the East this year. So maybe if they get by the Leafs, they'll be a little bit tired. You know what I mean, from the travel. And the next round they'll get plowed over. I don't know. I just think it's hard to three-peat. You know, I don't even remember who's the last team to win 3 in a row. Think about it. I don't think anybody's done it since the Islanders.
Yeah, not in a row, no.
Probably since the Islanders.
The Red Wings didn't do 3 in a row, did they? No.
You wish they did.
And not Chicago either. Chicago didn't win 3 in a row.
I'm sorry. Somebody's going to bring that up on your side thing there. Who's the last team to win 3 in a row?
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's the Islanders way back when.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't think Chicago did it. I don't think the Red Wings did it.
Edmonton, I don't know if Edmonton did it or not, though, because I remember Steve Smith screwing it up one year. They're banking it off of Grant Fuhr's skate to let Calgary win that series. So, but I'm just saying, I'm just going with the odds. The odds are it's tough to win 3 in a row. You could be right, and like I told you, if you're right, you're right. I'll tip my hat to you. You're allowed to be right too. You know.
I know. I don't disagree with you though. The East is tough. So you got there's a lot.
I just think it's a tough road in the East right now. You got God. There's so many good teams, and what matchups I would like to see probably won't happen. Probably won't happen. Wouldn't it be great if you saw Florida and Tampa right off the bat? Wouldn't that be a beauty?
Yeah, or Carolina and Tampa would be fun. I'd like to see that one. And then, well, I'll tell you.
How about Boston and Toronto right off the bat? I mean, there's all kinds of good matchups possible.
108 points, both Tampa and New York. So I said
the Rangers kind of like have slacked off a little bit. There's, that's to their.
Not for nothing, but I think tonight's Boston's no. Boston has one more game after. I mean, Boston's right on their heels. They're 105 points. Don't look now, big boy, but if they win tonight, which they're winning, that'll bring them up to 107. And then they have another game. The Rangers have one more game against Washington. Rangers lose and Boston wins both their games. That brings Boston above the Rangers in points. So I don't know.
Yeah, but you still got to go by the division. I think it's something to do with the division.
It does.
Does. And I have no idea how that works. It's like a Rubik's cube. So I've never been able to fix a Rubik's cube in my lifetime. So I'm not about to now.
Yeah. So
I'm going to go to the fridge and get another beer while you're looking at that.
That's good stuff.
What's next?
We're gonna move over to the left over there, and we're gonna talk about. Let's see here. Go over to the Western Conference, and we'll talk about.
Now, see, there's a team in the West that I'm going to talk about. How you talk about Tampa.
You're going to talk about the Flames, I bet.
No, the Flames are definitely a contender for a Stanley Cup. There's no question about that. But who has really picked up their game in the last month in the West?
St. Louis.
Edmonton.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They got 100 points, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a point there where there was a lot of talk about them just sucking.
They were halfway through the season. They were below sea level. They weren't even in the playoffs.
Sea level. Yeah. Yep.
Listen, the West has got some really good teams too. I mean, when you really think about it, you start with Colorado. I mean, you're the one that mentioned St. Louis. I didn't pay attention to them, but they're pretty solid. After you tipped me off about them, and Minnesota, I still don't know what the hell Minnesota's all about. Personally, I watch them play once in a while, and
I'm still on the fence with Minnesota. I really am very much on the fence with Minnesota.
Nashville, I have no clue how good they really are.
No, I think they're quick.
Dallas. Remember early in the season when Dallas came in and pounded the Rangers?
Yeah.
And that team that I saw at the beginning of the year, I was like, wow, this team's got it. Then they kind of shit the bed in the midway point. Then they had to play really good at the end of the season to secure a playoff spot. So I don't think that the West is as strong as the East, but there are teams in the West that are just as strong as the top teams in the East. How's that? Like the top 2-3 teams in the West are just as good as the top 2-3 teams in the East.
Yeah,
Colorado's a beast. Colorado's a beast. Don't care what anybody says.
Colorado's a beast, and Calgary is just a big.
Calgary's got it all. We've gone through this.
They're built for the playoffs. That's the thing. The Flames are built for the playoffs.
They'll do it any way you want. You want to play skill, we'll play skill. Kind of like the Montreal Canadiens of the 70s. If you want to play good hockey, we'll play good hockey. If you want to play mean hockey, Lucic will beat the shit out of you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
They got some big body players, man. They can lay the body and they play that kind of game. And then you talk about Sutter. We talked about Brind'Amour. You talk about Sutter. Sutter was another, player that was he's always pushed his teams to play on that edge, gritty, tough.
Well,
You know,
he coached two Stanley Cup champions in L.A. when L.A. was, were dregs of the league.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, what do you think? What do you think about the West?
Yeah, no, I had said I think that obviously Colorado's a powerhouse. Calgary is definitely, and I don't want to, I think that to say that they're dark, I don't think that they're a dark horse. I mean,
I got Colorado and Calgary as 1-2.
Yeah, I do too. 1A and
I got Edmonton as a sleeper.
See, I don't have Edmonton as a sleeper. I have St. Louis more of a sleeper. I think St. Louis has a little bit more to their game. I mean, I know, Edmonton's got that 1-2 punch, with the goal scoring, and that's the difference there. But I feel good about St. Louis. I think that they're going to be a tough out. I don't think they're going to be an easy out there. And then obviously, we talked about the East. There's 3 teams that are just scare the crap out of me. I think the beginning matchups there are going to be important. I'd love to see Tampa have to play Florida or
I said that earlier. That would be great, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Or Carolina. I think Tampa, I hate to say it, I think they easily handle Toronto. I hate to tell you.
I don't think it's going to be easy.
I think it's 5 games and they're done with them, to be honest with you. They've had their number.
You might have a little wager on that one.
Okay. They've lit the lamp on Toronto. So I don't know. And again, they're coming in hot.
Can I remind you again how many times Tampa's beat the Rangers? So what does that mean?
What
does that mean they lit the lamp against Toronto? What does that mean?
I don't know, man. We'll see.
I'm just giving you the what for there. What does it mean? They lit the lamp. They lit big deal.
Well, I think they're a much better team. I think they're going to score the shit out of them.
I'm not arguing about that.
I think they're going to handle them simply. And
I don't.
We've talked about this too, and you've said this a lot of times. You got to have an easy out if you're going to win the cup. Yeah. I think they play Toronto. I think it's an easy out. I don't think that goes more than 5 games. If I'm being honest.
I agree with you.
They got better goaltending. They got better goal scoring.
Tampa plays up to their potential, but remember, there's been times this year where Tampa has not looked the best of teams, and if they run into that situation, they play a high-scoring team like Toronto. Look out.
Yeah.
They better be. Let's put it this way: they better be all that you're saying, or they won't get out of that section.
Well,
I'm just saying. I mean, you're going to have to defend a high-scoring team there in Toronto, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we sure will.
I don't doubt Tampa's tenacity and talent. I'm not saying they won't beat Toronto, but what I'm saying to you is they're not going to win a Stanley Cup this year. I'm standing by it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
they're going to lose sooner or later to somebody.
I sure hope you're right.
They're going to lose sooner or later to somebody, and I don't care if it's the 7th game of the Stanley Cup. They're going to lose it.
Well, I hope you're right there. With that being said, I think there's a couple more things we want to talk about. Katsi, you brought up the article, and I've struggled to find it.
See, if I go to it on here, then I'm going to lose our sites.
No, you don't have to do it.
It was on Sports Network Canada, okay, the website. And it was the players poll.
I'm going to go back to
the players were polled as to who is the most complete player, who's the one guy you want forward-wise to win a game for you, who's the goaltender that you want to win one game for you, who's the guy that you hate to play against, and hardest, I guess that was combined, and then who's the best shooter, and I got the names for you who are on top. It's just that it's interesting to see the percentages of of how the players voted for these guys. If you can pop it up there. I got it up here, but I just, it'd be one of those. If I go to it, then it's by Paulie. Because I'm not that skilled with the technical world.
So, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. What do I got here? Let's see. Ice chips. Let's see. I'm trying here.
You're trying. Well, I'll start it off. The players had a poll. The NHLPA had a poll as they had a couple categories of who they would pick, and we'll start it off with number one. Who is the most complete player in the National Hockey League as of today? There you go. Shake your head. No, Paulie, I'm sorry to say it wasn't Alex Ovechkin. Okay? Sorry to say it was. Guess who it was? Your favorite guy, Sidney Crosby, was still voted by the players as the most complete player at age 34 in the National Hockey League today. That's okay.
Choking on it.
Olympic medalist, world champion.
Oh, here we go.
Stanley Cup 3-time winner,
Yeah. We know.
Second.
We know.
Second, I think they picked Barkov from Florida.
Let's see here.
And then third, it was Patrice Bergeron, who I've always said is probably as good a two-way player there is in the National Hockey League today.
Well, McDavid, however, edged Crosby as players were asked if you needed to win one game.
Connor McDavid.
Which skater you would want, and it looked like it was McDavid.
Yeah. You finally got it?
It's just bits and pieces, though. It's
not.
It
should all be there.
Despite missing due to Montreal, Carey Price still has the trust of many players.
Yep, but they picked
voting as players were asked if you needed to win one game, who's the goalie?
Vasilevsky. I agree with that. He's perfect. How about the hardest to play against? They picked Marchand. I think it was a combination. Hardest to play with guys you hated the most. Brad Marchand, by far. That shooter, your boy, Alex Ovechkin.
It opens up. Oh, yeah. Over Stamkos, yeah.
Yeah, they picked Ovechkin. I don't disagree with that. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And then I think, what was the last one?
That's it. That's all I got there. I don't know why it got cut off. It's weird. Weird as hell.
Who do you think is the most complete player in the National Hockey League now that you've trashed Crosby?
Wow. Well, I think, obviously.
You got to remember what you're talking about here. You're talking about offense, defense, and all that crap. You can't put Alex Ovechkin in. He wouldn't know how to back check if they had him tied up.
I don't think. Come on.
Okay, Connor McDavid's not a back checker. Neither is Austin Matthews. None of those guys back check. Crosby does back check. We've known that for years. I get the dislike for the guy. I understand that part, but he's an east-west, north-south player. Always has been.
Yeah, you can't argue it. I mean,
shooting-wise, as much as I can't stand the guy, I'll agree. Ovechkin, that's what he does. He lines up on the left side, waits, and lets it rip. That's what he does. He does it well. I'm not going to argue that.
Well, no, you're right. When you talk about a complete player, it's someone who plays on the power play, someone who plays on the penalty kill, somebody who's good 5-on-5, somebody who's good on 4-on-4. It's those skaters that are constantly in those positions and in those scenarios.
I'm not going to argue with Vasilevsky. I mean, he's proved it over the two whatever abbreviated seasons. I mean, they don't win a Stanley Cup without his outstanding goaltending. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah,
yeah. Well, the majority of the top goaltenders today are huge. The only guy that resembles anything from the '80s is
it's just size-wise. No, I don't disagree with that at all.
And the most hated and the most whatever hardest to play against Marchand is there's no question about it. He's a pain in the ass. He's a talented pain in the ass, but he's a pain in the ass out there doing with his antics and all that shit. There's no question. He's probably the guy that they least like or least want to play against. And I would agree. I would agree with Connor McDavid being the one guy to win a game. But you know what? I'm not going to jump full in on that either because you haven't done the playoffs yet. So that's why I'm kind of hoping on my sleeper pick with Edmonton now that they're finally Draisaitl and McDavid are going to finally do something when it counts.
So I gotta tell you, Beth, you're the best. You're the best.
What Beth have to come up with now?
But while we were talking about the Islanders are the last one, obviously, to win more than 3 in a row. So,
who said that?
Yeah, of course, I
was there when they were doing all that. I think Edmonton, like I said, they won 5 cups, but I don't think they ever won 3 in a row. It's a long time, man. Paulie, think about it. That's a lot. We're talking almost 40 years ago now since that.
I know. Crazy stuff. The scores are pretty hot right now. What's going on in the NHL? Let's see here. Islanders are up 4-0 on Washington late in the third, 7 minutes. Boston's 4-0 on Buffalo. Florida's the fours. You got to play fours.
I think Ovechkin hasn't played last game and tonight.
Yeah,
I don't think he's probably going to play tomorrow either against the Rangers. And I think this is my theory. I think they want to play the Rangers.
Really?
Yeah. I just have that gut feeling that that's who they'd rather play.
Islanders just made it 5-0. Beth is the best. It's like Islanders just made it 5-0. What was the I don't know. Beth, could you for a minute, what's the season series between Washington and the Rangers? Do you know, Chris?
We're 1-1.
So only 3 games the whole year, huh? Tomorrow will be
1-1 right now. It'll be the 3rd game tomorrow, I believe.
And then that's it. So 3 games. So tomorrow's the tiebreaker. I think the Rangers need that game just for confidence and to get some things straight. I'd like to see the power play get back to business. And, it's probably where I want to go now, to be honest with you, Chris, is I watched unfortunately, I've been really busy and I did record a couple of the games and I had to watch bits and pieces and some of the other stuff. But, Carolina, man, really took it to the Rangers and that score was not indicative of what the game was. And it's concerning. To me, it's concerning. And then last night, against the subpar team, and I get it, like you said, you got the junior Rangers in there or whatever,
I was joking, the JV team.
The JV team, the junior varsity team, but again, it's a team that should be beat even with, you still got a decent lineup out there. So concerning because we're going into the playoffs, you want to go in hot, you want to go in confident. You don't want players scratching their head. I don't think the confidence is really a problem at this point. I think Shesterkin had a rough night against Carolina, but I think Carolina they were just too damn good.
You know what? I think you should have a little bit of concern about the injuries and the nicks and bruises that these guys got right now that didn't play the last couple of games and might not play again tomorrow. But I don't really want to be that like down in the gutter saying that losing 4 in a row or something if they lose tomorrow night. You know what I mean? It's not the be all end all of it. I mean, playoffs is a whole different animal. I can remember like in Toronto, we we were never like at the top of the standings, but we made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years that I was there. And, we knew where we sat, but we also knew that, that first game in the playoffs, everybody starts equal, and I go back to my first year there where we made it in with, like, I think just over 60 points that year because Detroit was, like, even worse. Okay? But we played Chicago in the first round, Paulie, and they had 100-something points that year. Guess what happened? Guess what happened to Chicago in that first round? We swept them 3 straight.
Because you gooned them.
No, we didn't goon them. We owned them. We won 7 out of 8 games that year to get part of our 60 points. So we knew we had their number.
Yeah.
So we didn't give a shit how we finished the season.
Right.
We just knew we had their number, and we swept a team that had 100-something points. Dennis Savard, Doug Wilson, Steve Larmer, Al Secord. I mean, they were loaded.
They were.
And we swept them. So I think it's a whole different animal. I think it's a matter of who the Rangers get. I would agree with you that if they get somebody like Tampa, I mean it's not going to happen, but I would agree if they got a Florida or Tampa or Carolina right off the bat, it might not be good for them. Might be. I think it'll be good that they play a Pittsburgh right off the bat. I think it'll still be good playing Washington right off the bat, even though I think Washington somehow I get this stupid feeling that they're kind of hoping for the Rangers. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think if the Rangers play their game, they can beat those 2 teams.
Me too. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
But I think they can beat Boston as well, personally.
Wholeheartedly agree with that as well.
But the other 3 or 4, I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but playoffs is a different story, Paulie. Like I said, it's such a fantastic season for teams in the East. 100-plus points here, 100-plus points there.
Let's say they play the Penguins.
Do you honestly think? Here's what I'm going to ask you. Okay, do you honestly think any of those teams fear anybody right now? The top 8 in the East. I don't think they do. I don't think any one of them fears each other.
Well, I think everybody thinks knows that they have a chance because it's so close.
Because there's no dogs there.
Yeah.
There's no dog at the 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no dog. You're not getting you're not just throwing your sticks and gloves on the ice and think you're going to beat them, even if you are Tampa. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. First round they play Pittsburgh. Is Ryan Reeves cracking the lineup?
Against Pittsburgh? He'll play some.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to, I'm going to get into this a little bit because I've had a lot of feedback on my page too about, what do they get Ryan Reeves for? He doesn't drop his gloves with anybody. He's backed off of fights and all this shit. You know what I mean? People don't realize that you don't have to fight to be intimidating.
Right.
Having him in the lineup, penciled in, every player in that team in the other dressing room sees what the lineup is before the game. We all did that. They still do it today.
Sure.
And as long as he's in the lineup, the other team knows about it. Now, whether he fights or not is not the point. The Rangers this year did not get toyed with that often like they did in the previous years. Sure. There might have been an episode or two where, something should have happened, maybe. But overall, on the year, did anybody really get slapped out or, absolutely embarrassed, by the other team in an intimidating fashion? I don't think so. Right. Not like it did years previous where Carcillo did what's-his-face there in Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia, and then, what happened last year with Tom Wilson. Yeah. None of that shit happened this year. So people that were expecting Ryan Reeves to drop his gloves anytime there was a sniff in the air of anything happening, you're just wrong. You're playing wrong. Yeah. Nobody does that anymore. That's not the way the game's played anymore.
I want to see him play. I do. I like his game. I don't feel like he's a defensive guy.
I don't think if they play Pittsburgh, I do not think he's going to play every game. But if they play Washington, I think he'll be in the lineup.
Yeah. It has to be with Tom Wilson, I would think. Yeah, it's the only one who's going to keep him in check. Sure. Yeah, that's why I said if they play Pittsburgh, do you think he'd play? I hope he does. I hope he
I hope
does.
he does because I can't stand that half man, half Frankenstein there, Malkin. You know, he's a dirty prick. That's all there is to it. He's a plain old dirty prick. He's a great talent. He's been a great player. There's no question about it when it comes to skill. But he's one of the dirtiest players that's ever set foot in the league, and nobody ever wants to call him out on that. I will.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I think
He's dirty as hell.
Yeah, no doubt.
He never drops his gloves with anybody. He always waits till somebody's there. Then he'll take a punch at somebody when somebody's in between and stuff like that. And then
he's a coward.
I've said this before to you. He's the original Slewfoot guy.
Yeah.
Not Slewband. It's him. He's the guy that originated it all.
He's a cheap shot artist, and he's a freaking coward, is what he is. And it's a shame because he's a great talent. I mean, the guy's a great talent. But with that, I mean, the last couple games concerned me with the Rangers, and I think I really hope that tomorrow night is something that the Rangers can build off of going into the playoffs. And
they got to get it together again. They got to. It starts with the goaltending. Shesterkin's got to play like he did in the prime of the season. Okay, he hasn't played that great down the end, but we know he can. We know what we got with him. The defense pairing is going to be interesting again. It's going to be, I think, way I see it, it's going to be the same thing you've seen the last couple months. The same three pairs. Up front, you're going to see obviously the top two lines the way it is, and then the bottom two lines is going to be a mix and a match. I really believe that. Is there going to be room for a Hedl? Is there going to be room for a Cockle? Who's in, who's out on the bottom three or the bottom two lines? And it's going to be important for them to produce, not just waste time on the ice. You're going to have to kick in a goal or two here every now and then. You know what I mean? You can't just rely on your top three or four guys.
No.
You need that something from somewhere else. How's that sound?
Yeah. I don't disagree. I'll tell you
the biggest thing I'm going to say too, Paulie, is I do not want to see the defense backing in so far. I've been saying this for months. They back in too far.
Right.
Everybody wants to blame the goalie when a goalie gets beat by a 20, 25, 30-foot shot. But you know what? Those are scoring shots. Those are potential scoring areas when you're 25 feet out. And the Ranger defense have had a habit all year of backing in, giving up that blue line a little too easy and a little too deep in their own zone. They got to stand up a little better. And in order for that to happen, your forwards have to back check. They have to be there at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a little combination of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to make their positioning, yeah. But I'd be interested to see.
Oh, they got home ice too. That's the other good thing. Doesn't matter where that's why I'm confused about the Boston thing. Even if Boston gets more points, I think Rangers they've already secured home ice for first round. They don't need to get any more points, and they've secured a home ice advantage. So I don't know how it goes. It's just you got the top 8 in the conference, but it still goes by the division.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see the lineup, and then, like you said, the odd line chipping in the goal, and and gaining some points. I think we talked about this, and I think every Ranger fan, I think everyone around the league, not just Ranger fans, but anybody who's at all privy. The Rangers are going to go as Shesterkin goes.
Absolutely.
Shesterkin is still 1A, 1B, best player on that ice for them. When he's on, he keeps them in games, and then obviously, the explosive offense the Rangers have shown. But that team is really going to go as Shesterkin goes. And I mean, goaltending is always key.
It's always goaltending in the playoffs, but it's really important for the Rangers. More important that they get the best out of Shesterkin.
Yep.
In order for them to go far, because I think up front there's still a few question marks. You know what I mean, with the young guys in the third and fourth line. Okay, and if your top guys aren't scoring, that means you're going to have to play a tight game, and your goaltender has to be able to withstand those types of games where you win 2-1, you win 3-2. Because your offense isn't quite there, so you have to be that wall that keeps the puck out of the net to give your team a chance.
I think the Rangers' plus side is that their power play and their penalty kill are, very solid, and that's huge in the playoffs.
I agree with you, but again, I'm going to tell you, it's a new. You take all your numbers and all your statistics and all your standings, and guess what, Paulie? Just
means nothing.
Dump them right in the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
Because it's playoff hockey now. Nobody cares that you scored 60 goals.
Right.
Nobody cares that you had 9 shutouts.
Right.
Nobody cares that you were plus 63. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. Well, those don't win you playoff hockey.
Nope.
So that's the way it goes. And we'll see.
We will see. Is there anything else you want to cover there, big boy?
No, I think we got quite a bit in tonight. I hope we do a show on Monday next week. That way, then we can go through. We'll know who's playing who, and we can really get into each series and talk about what we think. We still don't know what the matchups are, technically.
Yeah,
I think there's a couple that you might know, but overall, you don't know what they all are. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. And the only thing I hope for tomorrow night is I obviously hope the Rangers win, but I just don't want anybody getting injured,
Yeah. I was reading the article on, Toronto. They're resting Austin Matthews. They're resting.
They rested Marner. They got Muzzin back, but he's not always playing yet.
Yeah. They don't care. They're just going to rest some players.
I told you. That's why the beating that they took the other night meant nothing to me. I knew they didn't have their full lineup in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see.
A lot of teams are resting guys towards the end. We know that.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense if you're not jockeying for position. Let's see. The playoff schedule starts
Tuesday, I hope.
It's so funny. So, I
think it starts Tuesday, Paulie.
Well, and that's fine. I wanted to look it up.
I just can't see it starting on a Monday.
But it's funny because I didn't put NHL in. I just put playoff schedule.
So what'd you get right off the bat? Basketball?
NBA, right?
There you go. Come on. Hockey's still the fourth sport in this country. You know that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So let's see here. Can I get a bracket? Let's see.
Pretty simple. When does NHL playoffs begin?
Yeah.
That part I do know about Google.
All right.
Well, I hate using Google because it's a lefty site.
Guess what?
What's that?
Monday, May 2nd, the playoffs start.
Okay, who starts then?
It just says, when does it end? The 29th, Friday. The playoffs starts 3 days later on Monday, May 2nd. It doesn't tell me. Let me see. What teams have clinched? Let's see.
Yeah, that's odd that they're starting on a Monday, but hey, they got to fit it in when the arenas are available to them.
The Canes play the 7th seed. The Rangers play. The Leafs play the 3rd seed. To be determined. There's a lot going on here. So,
And you can't figure it out yet.
but it's not telling me the dates. Okay, hold on. To be determined. To be determined. To be
They're all
determined.
going to. None of them are determined yet, Paul.
As far as I'm looking at the dates.
I know you're looking at the dates, but
And I got nothing. So it says date and time.
you really can't. They can't give you that 100% either, too. Depending on, like you said, a couple teams might switch spots.
Sure.
Who's going to be home? Who's not going to be home?
Right. So starts Monday. I didn't.
Wow.
I think you're right. I thought it would start Tuesday.
That's so nice.
We'll take a look. I don't know who's playing. Obviously, I'm not going to say we're going to be in a Monday, especially if the Rangers start the season, the playoffs on a Monday. But we'll have to pick and choose because there's, I'm sure Monday, Tuesday, there's going to be a lot of big hot games that everyone's going to want to see. So I don't know how well program will go.
I can hardly wait to stay up late on a Monday and watch the West.
Oh my God. Funny stuff. So I
used to do that, not anymore.
Nah. I'll record the games that I really want to see that I'm interested in. Obviously, I will be watching. I'll be watching Calgary. I'll make sure I'll record those games, and I'll be recording Colorado's games because those are the two teams that I feel like will represent. St. Louis, I'll be interested to see what they do, but and then on the east side, obviously I'll know what Tampa's doing, I'll know what the Rangers are doing, and I will closely be following Carolina and Florida because there's I'm really hoping that Tampa has to play Carolina first round, and if that's a possibility, that's
I don't know if I don't think that's a possibility. I just don't.
That'd be fun. So, with that being said, man, I got nothing left. The gas tank is empty.
Go Rangers and go Leafs.
I definitely will root for the Leafs, especially if they're playing
Tampa
or Tampa.
If they're playing Tampa.
Tampa. With that being said, make sure you join the Facebook group. Make sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube. I'm going to start incorporating.
You see my latest edition, did you?
What's that? Who's that? Batman?
Look.
Batman.
My latest edition.
Yeah, he's got the craziest stuff.
Hey, Pennsylvania is like the flea market capital of the world, so I enjoy it.
Who's the guy behind you wearing the hat there?
That's my old coach, John Brophy.
Oh my God!
I have no idea who it is. He just looks old and like an old coach, doesn't he?
Sure does.
So I put the Joker hat on him.
Yeah. Some scary stuff. The China Wall has arrived. Barry, we're about to close out the show, but
you're a little late, Barry.
You're always the best, buddy. We love you. You're the best. I want to get up to the Rink of Dreams, actually.
Well, you got to come up here when, you know what? A good time would be is when my wife goes to Punta, whatever it's called.
And what is that, in June?
It's like this month coming up.
All right, let's talk about it. I don't know.
You didn't talk about it. You forgot about it.
You said it's like the first week in May or the second week in May.
It's like the second, third week of May. Yeah, it's coming up.
I got something the last 2 weeks of the month, so I got to see. I might.
You got nothing. You're just going to go out and look at a couple of parrots in a palm tree or something like that. Who you kidding?
Well, maybe, but no. I have a family obligation on the 21st, I believe.
Well, you won't be here then.
So, with that being said, let's go Rangers. Playoff hockey is right around the corner. Monday, apparently, according to the article I read.
Yeah. Tune in. That's all.
Check us out on Facebook and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beth, you're the best. Thank you for all your help.
Yes.
I can't, there's not enough I can say about you. I know you're just joining, so I want to let you know that I'm going to be shipping out your shirt tomorrow, Barry. I promise. You should get it by Monday, maybe Tuesday. Either UPS or FedEx. Okay? With that being said, good night, everyone. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Good night.